All right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. We see a lot of your feedback. We'll be reading them in just a bit. At Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. Let's move on to a different conversation. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission may be forced to review some of the decisions arrived at by the current 3 commissioners or being at risk of being challenged in court for having been made without quorum. So we know now that LSK President Nelson Havi says, stemming from last week's finding by the Court of Appeal that IEBC did not have quorum to make policy decisions, there are certain election preparatory actions that could easily be deemed null and void. Cherargei, is that your reading as well? Now that the Court of Appeal said IEBC was not quorate at the time.
You know, Trevor, today I'm 2 against 1, but that is beside the point. So
he has his own political party, I'm in ODM, okay?
I present a neutral position. I just tell it the way I see it.
So let me be, you know, I saw Governor Mutua last Sunday. He was with Baba, so which is understandable.
Yes, they were expecting you.
You were invited, you didn't come.
I saw him with Baba, so that is beside the point. Maybe when he turns 52, I will attend the next one. Yes. So what I wanted to say before we quickly respond to the IEBC issue is that Jared should not mislead the public. Just before the president, we had the national holidays a few months ago. There has been 3 billion renovation of Kisumu Port by the government, and President Uhuru Kenyatta has been going to Luo Nyanza. So saying here that William Ruto has taken projects to Rift Valley is neither here nor there, because as we talk, the president himself has been going on day with Raila Odinga to inspect 3 billion port. We saw roads being opened in Siaya and many other areas. It is because, in fact, you have seen Western leaders complaining that after the handshake, Raila Odinga took everything to Luo Nyanza, to the Luo Nyanza region. So, you know, don't just cherry pick for the convenience of the argument. And even government appointments, they have the government appointments, you can see they have quite a number of people across the country. And this, by the way, there is nowhere that Jared can tell us, unless the other day when they were in handshake, they have sneaked to State House, which they have been sneaking anyway. They should be giving us document that shows that in that coalition agreement, William Ruto was supposed to appoint a half of the government, Uhuru Kenyatta was supposed to have a point of the cabinet. Number 3, and finally, how many times have you heard that there have been cabinet meetings? Because I have heard him and Governor Mutua saying, what is the role of the deputy president? The only way deputy president will give his contribution is when there are cabinet meetings. The last time you had cabinet meetings happening? None. Because this is where now ideas are being exchanged. And number 2, and this should be made clear before Kenyans, is that where we are is that the functions of the deputy president was given to a cabinet minister in coordination and government activities. That is Executive Order number 1 of 2018. And therefore, from where we are, let us allow President Uhuru Kenyatta to run his own legacy. The goodness is that our brothers and he has said here that the opposition has been working with government. They have even shared spoils when the removal of Jubilee leadership in the parliament. So they have been eating spoils. You have the chair of finance coming from ODM. You have vice chair of JLAC coming from ODM, and many others. Even the person who took over from me as the JLAC chair in the Senate is an ODM member. So let them enjoy the spoils of the government as it lasts, and also being assisted by being reorganized and organized to run for presidency next year. On the issue of IEBC, I think we should we agree, and I want to say this because then when I was the chair JLAC, I remember the IEBC appeared in 2019, 2018 thereabout, and they indicated that they had written to the president to appoint the commissioner that had resigned. The president, whether I don't know because of wisdom or lack of it, did not appoint them commissioners. As we talk today, I saw the National Assembly are ongoing with vetting of the IEBC commissioners as of yesterday through the JLAC committee. So I think in the next few months, if we allow the process to go for in the next 1 or so months, I think I don't know whether the National Assembly Assembly are on recess and they can be called for special sitting to approve the vetted nominees, and the President can appoint them to office so that they can form that quorum. But as it is, I agree with Nelson Harvey that as the IEBC constituted, there are some key decisions that they cannot make. And it is just like any board, just like any organization, that when you don't have requisite quorum in anything, even in Parliament, even in National Assembly or the Senate, sometimes there is lack of quorum and transaction cannot be done. So I agree with the Court of Appeal and the Nelson Harvey that IEBC cannot make certain decisions within and in preparation of general election. You remember now there should be continuous registration of voters. I've seen IEBC have advertised they want to employ polling clerks. Yeah. They want to employ people who will be not polling clerk, registration clerks across the country to ensure that we have continuous registration, and that advertisement has been put in place. Also, there is a teething problem. What is the power of a CEO of, and you remember the Chiloba and Chepukati thief, yeah. And now we have Marijan who is also acting. So where should we centralize the power? Because in IEBC, power was being co-shared between the CEO and the chair of the commission. Yeah. So I think those are some of the issues that we need to agree that finally is that we should ensure we have the IEBC with integrity. I think the issue of where elections are being allegedly stolen or what have you is because we should be able to put IEBC which is credible. Yeah. Say that if I lose an election or he wins an election, we accept and gracefully, like what happened in Zambia, where the old president, a sitting president, lost an election, he handed over peacefully, the person who succeeded him has taken power peacefully. It is because the electoral process, and you know ODM used to be on the streets in 2018, what we call Mondays, demos, they were pushing for something called electoral justice. Okay. Let us have electoral justice. It is not about, you know, I felt sad for my party leader and my president, Uhuru Kenyatta, yeah. When he was alleging that the reason this country normally goes to chaos is because the bread that is before the table needs to have many seats so that all tribes can be on the table. Sure. I think the president should be telling the country that to cure the mistrust is to have a credible election. Say that when you lose, you allow somebody who has won to proceed. Okay. If we have a credible election, why would you have a problem with somebody who has won? So the issue is not even about whether we have 5 tribes sitting on the same table and sharing government position. The issue is that we need to have an electoral integrity. Yeah. And even when ODM used to go on the street, they used to push for something called electoral justice, okay, so that we can have a credible election.
Jared, and I also want to hear your view on the BBI ruling, because it happened when you guys were not here. What was your view on that? And also the impact on IEBC, because it's almost one full unit. Yeah.
All right. Well, before I get there, I want to tell my brother here, there was a very good reason why the president gave them name Tanga Tanga, because their leader, William Ruto, is always on the streets running. And cabinet meetings are never held on the streets. They can only be held in State House. And it can only be held by those who are available, not those who are running helter-skelter. By the way, the Deputy President still chairs the Intergovernmental Ministerial Budget Committee. So I do not think he has relinquished that position either. So any success around budgetary lines with the ministries, I mean, he's the one in charge. So when the government fails, he fails because he's the one in charge of those budgets. But you have raised a fundamental question. Up to now, we are still shocked by the decision from the courts. Not because they have post-reggae, but because of certain decisions they arrived at, which have adverse effects on the future of this country. The 3 that I think have so far been picked by the Attorney General and will be heading to the Supreme Court for further interpretation. Oh. The Attorney General is not going to the Supreme Court to revive BBI. Baba has categorically said that we must move on. We have to pick other lines of arguments to advance the future of this country. Yeah. But fundamentally, when they talk about the IEBC quorum, for instance, and that is a matter that is heading to the Supreme Court, certain things have so far been done with the 3 commissioners in office. We have gone through by elections in this country some of which UDA-aligned parties and UDA as a party has won. So what then happens to these people who are new in office are appointed, or rather elected, with an electoral empire that is illegally constituted. So that is something that the Supreme Court must clarify. Otherwise, we are staring at a situation where all the perks that they have enjoyed may be surcharged, in the nearest future. So that is a matter that is heading to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
The same Court of Appeal, when they were conducting the elections to arrive at the president of the Court of Appeal, the same illegal IBC outfit conducted that election and appointed Justice Musinga to be in office. So I do not know whether that is also illegal, but Musinga was sitting in this same bench that made that decision. So I don't know whether when it comes to the courts, then all of a sudden IBC becomes so legal.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to other matters, including just verification of signatures, which is not done by the commissioners. This is done by the Secretariat. But then, that is their own interpretation. Then this idea of the basic structure,
yeah.
What the court is saying is that firstly you made a mistake to bring into yourself a new constitutional order,
yeah.
2010. And once you have put in place that new constitutional order, you cannot tamper with it. You cannot change it. It is as if we were born for the Constitution and not the Constitution made for us.
Yeah.
So they have made it so difficult that you cannot make any amendment
yeah.
to this existing law.
Okay.
To some extent, you may think that yes, it is not usually very important to be, reorienting laws here and there. But this decision came from the Kenyan people through a rigorous process. And they said, there are certain parts of this shoe that is pinching. We want to, cobble them so that we make them efficient for our usage.
Yeah.
But the court is saying, no, you had already made a mistake in 2010, so you have to stay there.
Okay.
It's like, well, I don't want to get there. So then the last thing is about the president,
yeah.
Suing the president while in office as a private citizen. It becomes very difficult to split the hair and
yeah.
tell, this is now Uhuru Kenyatta, the individual. You can deal with him. But on this other hand, this is President Uhuru Kenyatta. This is one that you cannot touch.
Yeah.
The world over, I've never had any sitting president who is susceptible
yeah.
to
litigation,
okay. anywhere in the world.
Right.
So that is something that the Supreme Court must clarify going forward.
Okay.
But we are still shocked
yeah.
by this decision. We only hope that we had ample time
yeah.
to look at it in depth at the Supreme Court, but there's basically no time.
Okay. Bring in Governor Mutua on this,
right.
on the same issue. Governor Mutua, what did you make of the BBI ruling and the impact it now has on IBC?
I think, first of all, talking about the BBI ruling, it was a shocker, I think, to many people in terms of the positions that were taken. Some of them we knew were going to be that way. I think the mistake that was done with BBI was to try and get too many changes done within a short time. Referendums traditionally have been issues of 1 or 2 or 3 questions. And I think too much was collapsed, such that even the good and the bad things now changed everything. But that is neither here nor there, because that is water under the bridge, and there will be interpretations. But it is worrying, as you said, about this ruling, about what has happened. And this is where lawyers will need to explain to us, when a judgment is made, does that mean that what has occurred, I have not read the ruling itself, is it retrogressive, or is it from that day going forward?
Yeah.
So does that mean that all the by-elections that were held, all the work that was undertaken, all the the work that by IBC is illegal, is null and void? Or does that mean it is from the time of the ruling onward, we look forward? So that's something I think that we're going to court to find out.
Yeah.
But it is something that is very important. But at the end of the day, this is a blunder that has to be laid in the, clearly in the plate of Uhuru Kenyatta. He's the appointing authority of IBC. I was in this show many months ago talking about that we need to get the other commissioners appointed in IEBC. It took too long. You know, this waiting took too long. Yeah. Maybe he was busy doing other things, but the blame lies squarely with him in terms of IEBC, because we shouldn't let IEBC stay 3-4 years without commissioners. The Kriegler report was very clear that you needed a good and well-constituted IEBC, or electoral commissioners set in place several years before an election. Hii mambo ya last minute ndio inaleta shida. So I think this is a blunder that happened in the watch of Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, because you said they work as a team, and president and deputy were elected together, they make decision together. And also talk about, Chengai asked about why work was taken from one person given to another person. It's very clear. Even in my work in the office, if you give somebody responsibility, but they are busy out there doing other things, so the plate is full and nobody is handling it, and work is failing, you give it to somebody else who is in the office. And that is just the nature of work. So I don't think that anything was ever taken from anybody to be given to any other person out of malice. It is because this person who was supposed to be working, sitting at the desk, was not there. Ameweka koti, ameenda ziara. Na kazi, plate iko full, wananchi wanaumia, wamepanga mistari, and signatures have to be signed. So it was as simple as that.
Okay, I will take a quick break. Again, when you come back, I'll see now your feedback coming through at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. Also, we're still on the judiciary, because when the president was speaking to the editors, he categorically mentioned that the judiciary needs to do their job. In fact, his word was they need to do their job, and nobody can say that he is intimidating them, because twice they've ruled against him. There's the BBI, and then they've nullified presidential election. Is the judiciary the weakest link? Let's talk about that when we return. See you in a bit.
Two milkshakes for my two very beautiful princesses.
Why are you so mean to our dad?
The man was in my house this morning. I smell a rat in this house.
Kuna kitu mnapanga.
Kama target yako ni Kwame, ningekuadvise ujikaze kabisa.
Naweza kutandikana pesa hapa nikumalize wewe.
Wacha ishi kwa amani.
Umeanza kuamini nikikwambia hadi wako mkubwa ni Baba Zora.
Zora. Tonight's episode is already on Viusasa. Watch it now and get the story ahead of everybody else.
Maisha njia panda, riziki ya upanga, mateso ya kidhulma, mazito kama
unga ikimwagika.
Tunajua mambo ni mabaya, gharama juu kila kitu. Siwezi jua.
Ako juu.
Time ni sasa. It's high time uonyeshe Zalena that wewe ni mwanaume wa hii nyumba.
Nasikia mnapeana mobile loan straight ndani ya simu. Nataka kuweka Poso Mill.
Sign up for the Coop Salary account to access mobile loans of up to 500,000 shillings. Kuinua maisha yako bila kiulizo. Cooperative Bank. We are you.
All right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. Let's bring up some of your feedback and see what you're saying on the conversations that we've been having here. Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya, use the hashtag Daybreak. Jacob Abere says, Court of Appeal rulings on BBI and then IEBC as an institution, it has created a conundrum. Now for civil societies or the citizens to go again and seek IEBC to stop whatever they are doing. Electoral quagmire is in the offing, okay? Kiprono Abraham says Jubilee Party lost direction immediately after the much-hyped handshake. It started removing leaders from positions and now it has nobody to remove. DP is the next, but it is hard for Uhuru to remove him. Okay? Duchess Lakenya says if Ruto called someone, it's none of our business. The transaction happened in Uganda. Why is the government of Kenya interested in it? Just call Museveni and ask him, because M7 also said Equity Uganda financed the project. Peter says nobody is or was interested in impeaching the DP. Humility is key in leadership. Moi didn't outshine Kenyatta, neither did Kibaki outshine Moi. They all became presidents. Simon Lemachon says, I mean, let's be realistic. So a person flies into this country and lands at the DP's office, and Ruto makes a phone call and pop 15 billion is awarded. How can one have a bank credit score of such nature but lacks bank contacts? It's 2021. Banks have websites. Okay? Next of kin says, before a bank gives a loan, it looks at your potential. The 15 billion is way too high for individuals. Most loans are taken through companies or entities, not personally. So the question should be, was 15 billion given to any entity associated with Ayadeen? All right.